American corn, and Nebraska stands to lose big time as the epicenter of white corn production. We talked to the farmer leading the way and why the issue matters to Nebraska. Plus, as we gear up for a growing season, we learn about an event to get you and your equipment ready. And as 4-H month continues, we learn how it provides opportunities in unique ways. It's time to grow. Welcome to Grow. Farmers here in the Cornhusker State could lose their biggest trade partner, and Mexico could lose a source of corn to become tortillas. A Mexican dispute could cost farmers billions, and central Nebraska is at the epicenter of white corn production. Shrimp and asada sizzle. The taco starts with a tortilla, and that corn comes from a farm like this.
Nebraska is the #1 white corn producing state in the nation.
Farmers like Andy Jobman produce more than can be consumed here. Much of that white corn goes to Mexico, but that country is now threatening to cut off genetically modified corn, which accounts for 90% of what's grown.
Mexico is our #1 customer for corn exports, especially for Nebraska. With Nebraska's strong white corn production, this was a really serious threat.
Mexico's president has issued a decree that could have banned U.S. corn on January 1st. That's now been pushed back, but President Obrador says Mexico needs time to study the health effects of GMOs. In his words, if you have to decide between health and commerce, we opt for health.
Ag biotech has been around 25, 30 years. So, we have a pretty good handle on the environmental benefits and the scientific case for human environmental safety on GMOs. I'm honestly kind of amazed, Steve, that we're still having this debate.
Corn growers say Mexico's position is not backed by science. Both the FDA and independent scientists and thousands of studies say biotech corn is not only safe, but good for the environment. The dispute could disrupt a market worth billions.
We have our products being shut out of a country that we have a good relationship with that happens to be right next door.
Congressman Adrian Smith calls on the Biden administration to push back. Andy Jobman recently made the case himself as he visited with the Mexican embassy in D.C.
Mexico is a very important trade partner. They understand it. We understand it.
The National Corn Growers Association says U.S. farmers send up to 20 million metric tons of corn to Mexico.
A fifth is white corn, the rest being yellow corn. So, and the majority of that coming from your fine state of Nebraska.
We have a lot of grain that'd be piling up in the United States, and the implications for crop prices going forward would be really serious.
Jobman says his message to Mexico's president is to save face, lift the ban before it hampers the relationship, while also threatening a staple of the Mexican diet.
Find a way to move past this decree and continue our great trade relationship.
In its latest statement, Mexico says the decree is limited to corn. Soybeans and other crops are not included. And they've broken corn down into a couple of categories. Human food is different from feed and industrial uses. Next, they say Mexico is self-sufficient and does not need white corn. The deadline to phase out GMO corn for feed has been eliminated, and Mexican authorities say they will carry out scientific research on the possible impacts on people's health. Meanwhile, corn growers amplify their call to begin enforcement action against Mexico. Corn growers say the Biden administration has been patient with Mexico. Now they say the integrity of USMCA, the deal that replaced NAFTA, is at stake. And even if Mexico allows corn for animal feed, that's not acceptable.
No, that is not a trade-off we're willing to make. We will not sacrifice white corn at the altar of being able to continue to sell, animal feed.
Monday on NTV, we'll continue our special report as we look at how a trade dispute could be handled and why corn growers say the clock is ticking. Nebraska producers can use dicamba through the end of June. The EPA had considered an early cutoff date. State Ag Director Sherry Vinton objected. She said at this point in the season, growers have made planting decisions and have likely purchased seed and pesticide products, and a June 12th deadline would have had a negative impact. Nebraska is one of 6 states that could have been affected. Farm Bureau had advocated to preserve the current window. Mark McCarg of Farm Bureau says dicamba remains an important crop protection tool, but there's a need to innovate new products as weeds grow resistant to herbicides. The future of the state 4-H camp has been unclear since the October fire in Halsey. Now lawmakers cast a new vision.
That's where it jumped.
As the fire spread, so did the photos.
It was just heartbreaking.
Situated at the Nebraska National Forest, the state 4-H camp created memories for generations.
15 years I attended the camp. My youngest son, that is 12 years old, was attended the camp for the last 2 years, and I have his 2 name tags.
Now Senator Mike Jacobson wants to rebuild what was lost in Halsey.
If you're going to bring more investment to the district and create more employment, it starts with letting the existing investments not disappear.
Jacobson has earmarked $50 million for camps, $30 million for Halsey, which would be matched with $7 million raised privately. The Nebraska Community Foundation backs a proposal for a new complex with a modern lodge highlighting the Nebraska Sandhills.
Having people come in there for conferences, make this more of a destination, truly an opportunity to build economic development in the area.
The camp buildings were owned by the Nebraska 4-H Foundation. The foundation says cleanup will be costly as they pledge up to $2 million from insurance towards future camp opportunities. 4-H is run by Nebraska Extension, an outreach of the university, and some feel administrators have been non-committal.
That's a great question, and I think definitely communication is important, and that's something that we look forward to continuing the conversation with the university and hoping that we have more information out there and readily available.
Sheridan Swotek is another camper turned staffer and now teaches agriculture and natural resources. While she's hopeful 4-H will be a partner going forward, she says the camp is also used by other groups.
This is much bigger than just the university and one of their offsite locations.
It's not just a 4-H camp, but the NRD had a very good camp there.
One supporter says there's more to preserve than nostalgia, but the legacy of a massive man-made forest in the one-of-a-kind Sandhills. What that looks like remains unclear, but senators say this would provide dollars to bring back the sense of place that's been lost. The committee hearing is the first step before it could potentially go to the full legislature for debate and a possible vote. Later, we celebrate 4-H month. Up next, we visit with Acres Equipment about a brand new event.
This portion of NTV's Grow is sponsored by Acres Equipment, solutions for every field. Acres has what you need to get the job done.
Lots of green iron behind us. Kyle is joining us from Acres Equipment, Precision Ag Director, and you guys are putting on a brand new event and expo coming up.
Right. So the Acres Ag and Turf Expo will be going on here on February 21st and 22nd. We're here at Fauner Park, the Pinnacle building. So from 8:30 to 4 on each of those days, we're going to have over 40 pieces of equipment in here, from small compact tractors to X9 and 9,000 series tractors. So a lot of equipment, a lot of training sessions going on with them. We're going to be doing training around product optimization and performance. We'll have the university extension in here doing 5 different classes also. So we'll have continuing ed credits for those classes. So a lot of things going on with our expos.
So certainly if you're a farmer yourself, or if you're a certified crop advisor, or if you're just somebody residentially looking for some machinery, it kind of fills a lot of different needs there.
Right. So with all those product groups and categories, I mean, from hay equipment, tillage, we'll have representatives around these products. So to answer questions, talk about the new technology that's come on the equipment, and not just what the new equipment is, but technology we can bring to older equipment. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do to older planters, older harvest equipment to bring it to what the latest technology is. So we'll be covering a lot of those things. Again, have a lot of representatives around those products to answer those questions.
You know, but you bring up a good point that there's maybe some older machinery. You want to make it a little more efficient. You look at the cost of inputs and everything else, and you're a precision ag guy, you understand this. You want to make sure that you're getting the, doing things as precisely as you want. You want to make sure that your seeding rate and your every application of everything in a year like this is going well, and maybe this is a good time even with some older machinery to look at what options do I have to make that more efficient.
Right, and that's, we've noticed a big trend for that is, I mean, it's not so much about having to buy new to get the technology of new. So we can take a lot of this technology and put it on equipment that's 20 years old, yet get a lot of that same benefit. Not all of it's that way, but there's a large majority of it that we can take advantage of.
The Acres Ag and Turf Expo is free, but they do ask folks to register. The event is Tuesday and Wednesday, February 21st and 22nd at Fauner Park. Nebraska Extension will present sessions on soil health, nitrogen management, irrigation, and weed and pest control. Attendees can earn continuing education credits for those, plus presentations on all the equipment you heard about a moment ago. Egg prices have soared 70% in the last year. In January, eggs were 8.5% more expensive than in December, according to government inflation data. Higher production costs and, of course, that avian influenza outbreak are partly to blame. But some egg producers aren't raking in high profits, supposedly, amidst the turmoil, sparking demands for a federal investigation into possible price gouging. Wholesale egg prices have fallen since hitting a record peak in December, but companies are still charging record prices at the grocery store. Our Grow Weather Outlook is next, and later during this 4-H month, we're celebrating how 4-H is for all.
NTV's Grow Weather is sponsored by Acres Equipment, solutions for every field. Acres has what you need to get the job done.
The snow of last Thursday not calculated in the most current drought monitor, but there is improvement from 1 week to the next, and this week no exception. 7.5% of Kansas is drought-free, abnormally dry, 92.75%. The moderate drought in Kansas, 74.75%, severe 66.5%, and the extreme 54.5%. No change on the exceptional. Again this week, it's 37.5%. Nebraska remains the same with the abnormal drought, the moderate drought, abnormal 100%, nearly that in the moderate category. Some improvement in severe, 79.75%. Extreme, that's where the big improvement is, down to 40%. Exceptional, though, at 10%, especially southwest, northeast Nebraska for that exceptional part of the drought. The rest of February, normal temperatures for Nebraska and Kansas, except below out in the Panhandle. And then precip-wise, normal for Nebraska, most of Kansas, except that eastern, kind of the southeast third, if you will. February, March, April, temperatures look normal for both Nebraska and Kansas, and precip-wise, not a good story. Most of Nebraska below normal, and at least the western two-thirds of Kansas below normal. Otherwise, the rest, that open area, that is all normal expected precip. So tomorrow we celebrate George's birthday, and for that we get 53 degrees. Then tomorrow night a system starts rolling in, a cold front, a slight chance of a wintry mix, and then wintry mix possible Tuesday. Then snow, and these are pretty good odds, 50% Wednesday through Thursday night, and it gets cold. Single-digit lows, 20 on Thursday, maybe a bit of a warm-up next Friday. Normal lows, or highs, I should say, should be 40, 19 for lows, our average the week ahead. The exception tomorrow, very nice, the average 33 for highs, 16 for lows. If birds are caught in February and they are fat and sleek, it is a sign of more cold winter. As a hunter, I have relatives say when I go out hunting, did you catch anything? Or have you caught anything? Well, snow goose season is in play. Maybe they're fat and sleek right now. That is the Grow Report for this week. Join us again next time when once again, it will be time to grow.
Calving or tinkering in the shop, we want to see your pictures. Just go to Nebraska.tv and make sure to chime in. 15 years after the move of the state fair, the livestock facilities have become a premier destination in the country. This is the house horses built, but these days Fauna Park can host nearly any kind of livestock show, and they do through the course of the year, with big plans for the future.
This is one of the greatest places to go.
Jana Sittler hears it often.
We love to go there.
Before attending livestock shows in Grand Island, she was on staff when the state fair made the move from Lincoln.
I mean, this is kind of an old homecoming for me, and I'm very thankful to be back.
Now she comes as show manager of GILCA, the Grand Island Livestock Complex Authority. It's a partnership between the fair, Fauna Park, Visitors Bureau, and Chamber of Commerce to market the campus and work with livestock groups that bring shows to central Nebraska.
I'm very pleased to be able to jump on board with that team of people, and I share that vision and hope to be able to help execute that vision.
It's one of the few facilities that can host the biggest events, and they want to keep it that way.
Our Angus and Hereford shows, they're bumping up against the edge of it, so we have some of our biggest shows and clients. Exarban is bumping at the edge of these, and so to be able to look at the future of these facilities is really important.
A master plan for Fauna Park includes potential projects like new barns and livestock arenas that could continue to make Grand Island a destination.
To keep up, we are competing with major metropolitan areas such as Denver and Des Moines and Kansas City and Fort Worth, and they're not going to rest either.
Sittler says future plans and the reputation built the last dozen years make it a top-tier facility, especially considering Nebraska's agricultural roots.
Being in the epicenter of one of the largest livestock producing states and regions of the country is definitely a benefit.
Chamber President Cindy Johnson remembers the doubts some had, not only about the state fair, but concerns the buildings would sit empty. Now they're booked years in advance. As she says, it has become what they thought it could be. And she believes Sittler can build on the work of her predecessors to take it to the next level.
I'm excited. I think there's so much energy and so much potential.
And Sittler believes there's room on the calendar for Grand Island to add more events in the future. We celebrate 4-H month next with a young man who proves 4-H is for all.
Ag Youth of the Month is sponsored by Landmark Implement. Experience the Landmark difference with locations across Nebraska and northern Kansas.
For kids with special needs living in rural areas, 4-H can be a way to level the playing field, as we found out last year at the state fair. A kid who was once silent now finds his voice on a grand stage.
The state fair.
Checking out 4-H exhibits with his family, Cohen Reha heads straight for the garden projects.
What color is that ribbon?
Purple.
Yeah.
Top prize for a kid who was nonverbal until age 5. His family never imagined he'd be a state champion at age 10.
Get a little grouchy. Leaps and bounds.
Chris and Katrina say Cohen's older brother Kyler has been a big help as they navigate how to advocate for Cohen and other kids with autism. Cohen enjoys video games and bowling, but organized activities can be tough, and 4-H has been a place to belong.
Look around. There's so much that you can do here. You know, it's not just growing a bean. It's just the options are unlimited.
4-H for all. And what it means is no matter who I am or what my skill set is or what my passion is, there's a place for me in 4-H.
4-H members get to work with university professionals, volunteers, and make friends while also earning recognition that can be a springboard to the future.
Seeing someone who might have some differences in how they relate, how they deal with things like autism, that find success in our program because there are opportunities to do that they might not have in other places.
especially in rural areas where the Rehas first tasted success that brought them to the state fair, where now they have the state's best garlic.
Yes, awesome. It's great. Yep, they're pretty happy. So getting those little rewards is, you know, makes them want to come back again next year.
It's awesome.
Next week on to the Classic in Kearney. We'll see you then as we see how agriculture makes Nebraska grow.